The 50,000 foot view that we'll start with today is I'm going to tell you how the human brain works, why the human brain works, how that translates into being mind, and then we'll talk about exactly how your human mind works. And I put together a bunch of slide decks previously. To start out with the basics, your brain is your organ of survival, right? You have a bunch of organs in your body. Heart moves the blood around the circulatory system. Your liver removes toxins. Your lungs oxygenate the blood, etc. Well, your brain is an organ, and the organ function of your brain is that of survival. It helps you remember where the food and water is from a very basic survival perspective. Cognition helps you figure out how to build shelter. Imagination helps you practice mentally for future situations that could be life-shortening if you weren't prepared for them. Heck, a sense of humor even helps you figure out what funny thing to say to have somebody jump in the sack with you to propagate the species, right? So it is entirely your organ of survival. Within that brain is a subsection called your limbic system. And the limbic system is your more primitive brain. It's down near the base of your brain stem. It scans the senses and thoughts for threats, right? So when a baseball comes flying at your head and you involuntarily duck out of the way, or a fly comes and you involuntarily blink, that's your limbic system taking action involuntarily to prolong your life, right? We know that if a baseball hits you too hard in the head, you're going to be knocked out, be prime for dinner of some wild animal, and or just kill you on the spot, right? So your limbic system will take charge of your body, move your head out of the way to be able to dodge the baseball flying at your head involuntarily. That's what this limbic system does. It looks at everything coming through your senses and says, okay, is this thing a threat? Is this person a threat? Is this car coming toward me a threat? Is this baseball flying at my head a threat, or is it going to miss me? That type of thing. It constantly scans every one of your thoughts and your senses for potential threats. But then second question must be asked. A threat to what? And the answer is, this is your mind's self. What is it that we're protecting? This brain up here is a simple logic engine, right? It never tells you the relative value of things. It doesn't say when you put your hand on the stove, it doesn't say, oh, this is 160 degrees and damage is going to be caused to the cells. It says this is much hotter than it was a second ago, right? And that's all it's doing. So your mind self needs a laundry list of things that says, okay, this is a threat to what? Okay, well, give me that laundry list of all the things that I need to protect now. And one of the things that goes right in the middle of your sense of self is your body, which is why your limbic system will move your head out of the way involuntarily when something's coming flying at it, because it is hardwired to defend that sense of self within you, okay? But up until a couple of decades ago, it was thought by psychology that the sense of self was the body, period. There was nothing more to be said regarding your sense of self. It is your body. But then some science changed. Jim Cohn at UVA started to map the mind's self for the world, and he did so through an fMRI. And what he did, he accidentally discovered something that made him world famous. Well, he put a group of folks through an fMRI study, and he said, okay, I'm going to put you in this fMRI machine. We're going to watch your brain while we go through this next experiment. What we're going to do is we're going to give you a set of glasses. We're going to give you a LED in your glasses. It flashes a little light over here in the corner. And then we're going to wait a few seconds, watch your brain, and then we're going to zap you on the ankle with some electricity. And of course, they had a lot of fun with this in the lab, zapping people. He took his students and let them zap his ankle and poke at various points in his brain with electricity and make his arms and legs move, etc. But what they got was exactly what they expected. When they flashed the light in his glasses and waited for the brain freaked out. The brain's like, oh my God, there's a sense of self-threat coming. I'm going to get zapped. This is my body that's being attacked. And so the fMRI scan showed up that they had the fear response in the human brain, and they had the sense of self correlates mapped. So the sense of self lit up, and there's a little pattern that it does, and fear lit up. And so that was exactly what they expected to get. Now in the second run, they brought somebody else in, And they said, okay, we're going to move the ankle zapper off of you and we're going to put it on this other person. This person's a stranger to the person who's in the fMRI. So now they give the flashlight and glasses. And they say, okay, we're going to watch your brain. And then we're going to zap the stranger. So they gave them the flashlight, they watched the brain, they zapped the stranger, and they got exactly what they expected, which was there's no threat to body self in this person who's in the fMRI. So he's not going to experience fear, and the self correlates aren't going to light up. And that's exactly what they got. They got a bunch of spurious noise and other things that were going on inside the person's mind and did not light up fear because they weren't nervous about getting zapped because the zapper was on somebody else, and they didn't light up on the self correlates because there was nothing going on associated with this sense of self. The third scan is what made history. They brought somebody in who was a familiar, which is psychology's word for significant other, good friend, family member, co-worker, somebody who means something to you in general. And they said, okay, we're going to give you the flashlight. We're going to put your friend or your lover or your family member, your child, your grandparent, whatever it is, on this gurney next to you. We're going to put the ankle zapper on them. They didn't know what to expect, and what they got was the first and the third scans could not be told apart. They were so similar, you couldn't tell them apart statistically on the analysis afterwards, which is proving that other people in our life get mapped onto our sense of self. And so the thing that creates the threat assessment for us in the limbic system of, is this person a threat? Is this car a threat? Is this headline a threat? Is this whatever a threat? Now that's associated with more than just the things that are attached to your body. That's now attached to the people that we care about, because the sense of self map now gets linked to the people around us. So the same simple defensive self mechanisms, which can be used to defend ourselves against our own environment around us, can now also be used to reference threats to others around us. So now we can go from being nervous about our own cough, being nervous about our grandma and grandpa's cough, turning it into pneumonia and having them lined up in the hospital, right? It's the same simple process that your nervous system is using on an augmented self map. And so this, for the first time in the world, was when psychology started to understand the self as more than just the body. It was a body and other people's bodies, other people's existences that were somebody who meant something to us gets mapped onto that same thing that then drives our emotions. So now we can have emotions connected with other people.